Hello, everybody. Welcome to the last session of the last day of the VCon. I hope you've been having a great time. In this session, we're going to talk about selecting and connecting apps to the QuickBooks Online ecosystem. I'm very glad that you are here with us this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. By the way, when I am talking about the apps, I'm going to be working in the U.S. version. So for our global partners that are on this part of the VCon, you may have a little bit different experience than what we have in the U.S. So my name is M.B. Raymundi. I am a CPA from Trumbull, Connecticut. I'm an Advanced Certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor. The focus of my practice at this time in my life is really QuickBooks consulting and training. I am always honored when the Woodard Group will ask me to present, and I do a lot of speaking at conferences, and I do some teaching for Intuit. So it's always fun, right? There's nothing bad about my job. I love QuickBooks. I love teaching. It's like great. So I'm very happy to be here with you today. As far as this part of the webinar, it does qualify for continuing education credit, so it's 1.5 hours of CPE. If you've been attending the sessions, you know how it works, but just in case this is the only one that you have attended for the whole VCon, is that you have to stay for the entire session. I'll be giving out keywords in different parts of the session, and then at the end there will be a pop-up poll or quiz where you will put those CPE keywords in. I would suggest that you write them down because I don't know about you, but I know that sometimes I have a problem remembering, and when you give me a choice, everything looks the same. I think I'm going to remember it at the end, but I never do. And then the CPE certificates will be emailed to you with the same email address you used to register for this session here. And of course, you need to keep a copy for your records for your governing agency. For each of these sessions, we have our learning objectives, and our learning objectives here are to be able to define third-party apps and how apps sync with QuickBooks Online and with each other, be able to identify which apps will benefit you and your clients, and develop some best practices for testing and learning new apps. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have is that there are, I don't know how many apps out at apps.com right now, and to try and figure out what are the correct ones for our clients is a real challenge. And then which ones do we want to get to know? And you'll see later we'll talk, maybe what you do is you pair up with other pro advisors who may know other apps and kind of get your own little team together of people that can help you. So let's just go through what is an app, a little introduction here. So when we talk about apps, we're talking about applications, runs within an operating system or a platform. So iOS, Android, Windows is the operating system on there, and then Angry Birds is the application, right? So either iOS or Android on your smart devices or Windows or I can't remember what Mac's operating system is up to these days on that. And then the application is what we load onto it. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does to you. So traditionally speaking, QuickBooks is an application. It's accounting software. And the thing with QuickBooks Online, it's really both an accounting app and an operating system or a platform. So when we log into QBO, we're logging into this platform, but that's also an accounting app. Sometimes it gets a little bit confusing. So when I was actually on the phone today with a client, and we were talking about this business is not using any computerized financial system. They're using the old OneWrite handwrite everything system, and she had called me, 3 or 4 months ago and said that she wants to figure out what she needs to do. She figures it's about time she gets computerized. Her son's coming into the business, and he is pushing to be computerized. So we were talking about QBO, and these folks happen to be a transport business, and I said, whether you choose desktop or QBO, you're probably going to use the third-party app in order to enhance the functionality and get the information that you need. It's probably going to be the easiest to use a third-party app on there. And she's like, well, what is an app? And how I kind of explained it to her is that QuickBooks Desktop, that's more of a program, right? I mean, it is an accounting application, but it's more of a program. And I kind of look at it, if it's cloud-based, then that's more of an app on there. Now, the good thing with QuickBooks Online, being an app and an operating system itself, is that Intuit, when they revamped QuickBooks Online a couple years ago, they kind of opened up the back door of the programming code. So it has this free API which allows third-party programmers to create applications that can either read and or write data in and out of QuickBooks Online. And that's one of the things that you need to find out from that third-party app. Is it reading, writing, doing both? Which way is it syncing, right? One-way sync into the program, one-way sync back into QuickBooks, or bisynchronous on there. So, and the beauty of that, right, is that if the third-party developers, from what I've talked to developers, is that they find it pretty easy to write whatever code they need to write to work with QuickBooks Online. And you can see that by going out to apps.com and how many new apps are being added every day. So then what are the benefits of having apps? Number one, they connect with QuickBooks Online. But how does that help you? Well, so here are the reasons that you want to use apps. One of them is that you only have to enter data one time. So an invoicing app, you can use your QuickBooks customers and jobs and items, products and services to get you started fast and keep transaction info up to date. And the whole idea when we're entering information is to enter it once or maybe not even enter it at all. I'm working with another client that we are going live on QBO on July 1st, and this woman is the queen of spreadsheets. So they're using a desktop competitor product, and plus they're using like 5 gazillion Excel spreadsheets, and what's happening is that they're putting the same information in like 4 or 5 different places. And the thing with that is that you spend a lot of time checking and cross-checking to make sure that the right information is in the right place there. So the beauty of, we're saying apps that connect to QuickBooks Online, we're trying to enter data only one time. And then that makes us much more efficient and much more productive. And again, the app is going to update QuickBooks Online automatically without exposing your information. So for example, if you have employees that are using a mobile app to record time entries or expenses on the go that updates QuickBooks, then you don't ever have to give those employees access to your QuickBooks Online. And you import into QBO only what's necessary. So an app can handle an important job for you but won't clutter up QuickBooks Online with unnecessary info. So, for example, one of the apps I've been looking at is SalesPad Cloud for kind of a wholesale distribution and maybe a little bit of manufacturing. They're kind of moving that way, it seems. And the whole workflow is done in SalesPad Cloud, including sales orders and pick and pack and, just whatever process that you have, starting from estimates to sales orders to fulfillment to shipping and then to invoicing on that. So what's coming over to QuickBooks is the inventory adjustments and the invoices, but everything else is in SalesPad Cloud. You could have a CRM app that you are collecting leads but they don't link to QuickBooks until they become a customer, right? So it's kind of magic when you need it. So the apps can keep a lot of information, and you keep your financial software, your financial app QBO, as pure as possible in bringing over the information that it needs to give you the right information. And then, of course, the other beauty of using apps is that you can manage apps from anywhere. All you need is an internet connection. When we go through best practices, one of the best practices is to say, use the apps that are on apps.com, because those are apps that are thoroughly vetted by QuickBooks. A lot of them are reviewed by pro advisors, but Intuit does review and approve each app to ensure it meets the exacting quality and security standards that Intuit needs. So the fact that you see an app listed on apps.com means that it delivers the goods, and you control your own information there. Of course, I really like the Anywhere, Anytime access, which is what I really like about QBO itself on there. Only apps that you authorize can access your QuickBooks Online. So, again, Intuit's security review team makes sure that apps use and protect your data properly, and you control the app's connection to QuickBooks Online, and you can turn it off when you want to, if you want to go ahead and do that. And then lastly, the separation of duties. Many apps have separate logins that don't allow user access to such maybe secure financial information that you don't want your employees or subcontractors maybe even to see. So apps help you run your ecosystem. So your small business ecosystem is the set of products and services that helps the small business owner with every aspect of running their business. And while every small business is unique, there are some common jobs that all small businesses and all businesses, whether they're small or not, actually have to do. So, for example, they need to find and get customers, right? They probably, if they're not, they probably should be doing sales and marketing. So, I hear this consistently as the most critical part of running a business, and I kind of agree. So it's funny, for my practice, I'm a pro advisor, and the sales and marketing, besides trying to post, on social media, that I get is from the Find a Pro Advisor site. But other businesses don't have that ability to, have that kind of resource available to them. So if you're acquiring and managing customers, maybe, you're looking, with your sales and marketing, you're looking at things like Practice Ignition. Method CRM is another really good app for that. Intuit's Demand Force, which is pretty cool, that it shares information. You can put out announcements and things like that out there. Big Commerce, right? There's just lots there. Now, once you acquire customers, or our small businesses acquire customers, it's time to do the job. So whether they're a product company selling physical units or services company providing expertise and labor, every business needs to productively manage the work for your customers. So what do you use? So T-Sheets. T-Sheets is what I use in my practice. Even though we may do value pricing on some jobs, I'm an accountant, so I need to track my time, right? So I logged in and tracking my time for what I'm doing now and what I've been doing all day. So I happen to use T-Sheets for my time tracker on there. You've got Jobber. So that's a kind of a field services app on there. Mavenlink is a project management. Corcon, which is construction management on there. So somehow you need to make sure that you schedule, or the work that needs to be done. In fact, actually, T-Sheets now has a scheduler on there. Now, the other thing is that, when we look at number 3 on the operations, for scalability and efficiency, every business needs to operationalize their processes. So whether it's managing inventory or managing documents or managing employees. So you have things like SOS inventory. You have HubDoc, which is awesome. It goes out. I've just been setting up in my HubDoc account where it goes out to my banks and my credit cards and my utility companies. I don't know how far it goes, but if I can log into somewhere online to get information related to all my bills or statements, I can have HubDoc go grab them for me so I don't have to log into all these different sites. Juva HR is a really good HR app on there where you can set up job descriptions and you can do set up job descriptions, and you can do performance reviews, and it's really pretty awesome. And they have a whole slew of job descriptions already set up, but then you can create your own, or you can modify those that would make the most sense for whatever your clients need, what kind of work there is. And then obviously when we look at our small business ecosystem, we need to account for our business, right? We need to manage the money in and money out aspects of the business, and we might want to get reports related to that. So we have something like Tally, which is expense reporting, or Bill.com, which we can manage we could do receivables and payables. But what I like about it on the payable side is that it's got an approval process. You've got Fundera that will help the cash flow, or LivePlan that's helping with reporting. So and on and on and on. And I am not really promoting any of these particular apps. I'm just saying that these are apps that are out at apps.com, that just to give you an idea of how you can use apps in every aspect of your business. Now, when we talk about the financial management, QuickBooks is a great platform that is helping with their financial management, but it doesn't do everything. And this is where when we're getting those developers in to develop apps, that it just helps that whole ecosystem. Now, Intuit's pretty focused on understanding how customers are using technology so that they can deliver better, kind of easier to use products. So they recently decided to commission some research to uncover some concrete insights into small business adoption, and the small business adoption of cloud tools in particular. So it explores how small business owners are currently using software solutions and mobile apps, and also digs into the new types of solutions small business owners most want to see developed. I have to give Intuit credit that they really do try and stay ahead of the curve, right? They want to be on the leading edge, and they've done a pretty darn good job at doing that, and certainly as they've improved QBO over the last couple years, and then changed it's easy for third-party developers or their own, right, because they have some apps on their own, to write the code that will integrate into QBO. It makes a whole lot of sense there. Now, one of the most interesting findings, I think, is that the center of the small business cloud is financial management. Now, it makes sense to me, and it makes sense to you, because we're probably people who are accounting or bookkeeping types, and we realize the importance of financial management, but I don't know that our clients always realize how important it is to have accurate financial information in there. But on average, a small business owner will spend 4 hours a day online running their business, and the top 3 online activities are bookkeeping and accounting, so that was 65%, generating invoices and or accepting payments, that's another 65%, and by the way, these are not additive, it's what do they do. Out of the 100%, how many said their rated bookkeeping and accounting is their top 3 activities. So generating invoices and accepting payments, and then managing their customer relationships. So 58% on that. So pretty awesome information here. Oh, we have our first CPE keyword. Our first CPE keyword is the word gravity. So is gravity keeping you grounded? Gravity is the first CPE keyword. And if you've gone to any of these other sessions, you know that once I get off the word gravity, I cannot go back to the word gravity. So you want to write it down now. You do not want to miss it. So gravity is the CPE keyword. Gravity going once, gravity going twice, gravity going the third time. And let's move on here. So the question is, and I mean, the research that Intuit commissioned said that yes, small businesses are moving to the cloud. What goes from there is are small businesses adopting the tools that they need to grow their business and to move into the cloud. So over 2/3 of small business owners want to see apps created to help stay organized by better managing their back office. I mean, the thing with our small businesses, they need to be out there doing what they need to do. And so their whole process ending in financial management, or with financial management being in the center of this ecosystem, they need to be as productive and as efficient as possible so that they're not spending too much time on that, and they can spend time on their sales and their marketing and growing their business. Love mobile apps, right? You see more and more that people are not just, I mean, I have a really lightweight laptop, and I am a person who will carry my laptop around, and I travel with it. But I see more and more people using just their tablets or their iPads to want to run their business, or they may have something like a Chromebook on there, or just using their smartphone. So the next part of the research that Intuit did, or Intuit Commission, looked at the tools that small business owners are using, and almost half of small business owners are using a smartphone as a primary device to run their business. How awesome is that? So then it follows that about 50% of small business owners already use at least one app to run their business. And I'm not talking about like Gmail or Twitter or Facebook, but this refers specifically to mobile small business software applications such as payments or accounting or CRM solutions. And it's very heartening to see that not only do we want their systems to work together on there, but the small businesses also want their solutions to work seamlessly together. So why the ecosystem is important, for the developers, they're building apps to focus on areas that Intuit isn't, right? Intuit's focusing on core accounting functionality. So apps can hit specific markets or areas, time tracking. T-Sheets is doing time tracking and now scheduling, helping your clients find loans like Fundera that we saw, membership management, chargeover, CRM, whether it be Method or LeGrand Online. So it extends the reach and helps you figure out, help your client figure out what's the best solution for them. So there are like 6 million small businesses, and having apps will give them a customized QuickBooks experience. They'll save time, reduce data entry, and provide that important separation of duties so that many small businesses and micro businesses don't have. For the 100,000 plus accounting professionals like us that support them, it allows us to provide services better to serve our clients. It allows us to become that trusted advisor. It frees us up to be a little bit more proactive with our clients to help them run their business and grow their business. So when QuickBooks and the apps work together, the benefits, again, saving time, increasing accuracy, all the apps are web-based, so you have that anytime, anywhere. And it really gives us an opportunity to grow our practice by providing these additional kind of valuable services to our clients. So whether an app helps your clients manage customers or get paid faster or manage orders or inventory, we're going to talk about finding those apps and how to go ahead and test them out. And then interesting, why apps matter. The small business uses over 18 apps. So it's pretty amazing there. And these small businesses are craving integrations with tools that they consider most valuable for their unique works and habits on there. If the applications don't allow the data to flow seamlessly and they don't integrate, it's going to become a point of friction. It's going to prevent the small business from being successful. So again, Intuit's made it easy. In less than 15 minutes, developers can work with sample code and test it out in QuickBooks Online. It's really pretty amazing how that works. And with the whole thing that if small businesses are using 18 apps a day, that means that they're pretty mobile and they expect to be able to work from anywhere. They're always on. It's a small business, right? A small business is not a 9-to-5 job. They typically work anywhere, anytime, and they have multiple devices and phones and tablets and laptops, and they expect to use all these devices seamlessly. So start on one, finish on the other, enter customer information on their tablet when they're out in the field, schedule work, assign jobs on their laptops, send out invoices, receive payments on their phones. So they just want everything to work together. So let's talk about finding apps here. So when we're looking at finding apps, there's a couple different places that we can do that. If we are our client, then we can log in to QBO and find apps from the left-hand navigation bar. It's generally close to the bottom of the left-hand nav bar. So that's one place, and I will get in and show you that in a moment. Another place that we can go is we can go out to apps.com. And the beauty of either one of these is that you can search for the apps. And there's different ways you can search. You can search by using the search box at the top. You can also search by categories. And then the third way you can search is to search by industries. So any of those will work. And I think what I'm going to do now is I am going to do a screen share so I can show you what I mean. So you can see more than just the PowerPoint there. So it's going to go quiet for a minute. No worries. As I am going to do a screen share so I can show you what I mean. So you can see more than just the PowerPoint there. So it's going to go quiet for a minute. No worries. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now, and I am in what a typical client QBO would be. And so when I go into QuickBooks, I can just come down here and click on my apps, and it pulls up this information. So we've got them listed here, so the most apps recommended on there, what's trending now, we can search, we can browse by category. Now this is all apps, and then I also have a tab that's My Apps. The other place where we can go look is out at apps.com. So we just go to apps.com and it opens up apps.intuit.com, and again, I can search. So I can search for keywords. So today I was looking for the transport, and I can click on See All Results, and these are actually the two that I was looking at today. So Transportation Management System, Freight Brokers, 3PL and Logistics, Smartphone, and Cloud-Based Mobile Workforce Solutions. Oh, that wasn't the other one I looked at. So this was one of them. And I clicked on it, and I watched it, and I read the review. And then if you go down to the bottom, it says somebody else, they may have reviewed something else. So what I had to do was talk to my client to figure out what was important to them. Was it like mileage, fleet, and vehicle expense tracking? What was really important to them? So I can easily search for apps out at apps.com. And again, I'm in the U.S. If you look at the drop-down here, you could be UK, Australia, Canada, India, France. So you can search for it that way. Now the other way that I can look at my apps is by category, so kind of by business need. So if I'm looking for an HR, I mean small businesses are terrible at HR. So if I'm looking for some kind of HR app, we've got, this is the one I was talking about before, this Juvad HR on there. Pretty awesome and pretty reasonably priced. This Boomer mobile time tracking HR web. This is a pretty heavy-duty HR app on there. I mean, some of these I haven't looked at. So on here, Go Benefits, Group Benefits Made Easy may be important to some of your clients. So again, you can easily look by category. And then the third way you can look as you scroll down in apps.com, so you see the trending now. You see the newest, you see the top rated, you see the featured, and then down here, this is kind of the third way you can look, besides just kind of browsing on there, is by what is your need here. Are you looking for something project? Are you looking to schedule? Are you a manufacturer? Let's click on manufacturer, and it brings up things that may be helpful. SOS inventory, Exact Online, Manudyne Cloud 9. Those are all inventory apps on here. MRP Easy on there. High Jump, True Commerce. Oh, that's probably not manufacturing. So, you know, you're going to still want to go ahead and weed through them. But again, good. So examples of apps, I mean, there are all sorts of apps out there, and I think your best bet is to just make sure that you go out to apps.com and you review the apps for whatever you are, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for. And I had to search a few times, like when I was looking today for this transportation app on there. I had to search with a couple different keywords, and I didn't see it here. So it was more than transport. And maybe I searched trucking, something like that. I can't remember what I did. So you might, you know, part of the challenge, I think, is finding the right keyword to go ahead and search for. We have our second CPE keyword. So our second CPE keyword is the word Excalibur. Excalibur, you want to make sure that you write it down. Excalibur is the second CPE keyword. So make sure that you write down the word Excalibur. I think that we need to request pictures with our CPE keyword. So Excalibur is today's CPE, this time period CPE keyword. So Excalibur going once, Excalibur going twice, Excalibur going the third time, and I'm going to the next screen. So the next thing we're going to talk about is actually connecting apps. How do we connect our apps? And it's pretty simple to connect the app. So you find whatever app that you're looking for, and on the right-hand side, so whether it's directly from QBO or out at apps.com, you can find the app, and it will say, Get App Now. Now, all the apps are required to do a free trial. Some of them do 7 days, some of them do 2 weeks, some of them do 30 days. It just depends on the app, how that's going to go. And then once you do that, as I showed you before when we were in our live screen share, is that when I go to apps on my left-hand nav bar, I'll have the tab for my apps, and your apps will be listed there, and then you launch it, support it, disconnect it, or you can actually review it. So you're going to try it now. If you're already logged into QBO, it's going to say, is this the QBO file that you want to hook up this app to? And you can decide if you want to or not. And so you authorize it, and then that's when it's going to show up in my apps when you log into QBO. So let's talk about some best practices. There is an app called SafetyNet. It's by Jobber. And before you connect an app to your QBO, you might want to take a snapshot of what your QBO looked like before you connected the app. So you can do that. So there's no formal backup in QBO, but you can get this app called SafetyNet that at this point it doesn't cost anything. It's been around for a while. I don't know whether they're ever going to charge for it, but you can find it out at apps.com and create this backup. So it's a snapshot of your QBO. Then connect your new app, play around with it, maybe with real data, right? And then if you don't like it, restore your backup from SafetyNet. Pretty simple to do. So that's one thing that you can do. So when I sign up, before I sign up for the app, set up SafetyNet, then connect the new app, do whatever I want to do in that. And it may be that I just do it for testing, and then I restore my SafetyNet. And then I reconnect it again with, sometimes we can purge the data in the app and then reconnect it again. So, and then again, if you don't like it, then you just restore that backup from SafetyNet on there. Now, the other thing that you can do, and in fact, I'm going to suggest it to this client that I was talking to today on the transport, is to sign up directly through the developer site for their free trial and don't even sync it to QBO. And see, play with it and, try and do everything that you need to do, or have your client do everything that they need to do in it so that they can see whether it's going to work for them or not, so they can get their questions answered and figure out, is it the proper workflow, and that way they're not messing up their QBO file at all. So that would be another possibility. Another possibility you can do to kind of test the apps is to sign up for a free trial. Right? So if you sign up for a free trial, you can do that out at the QuickBooks website and sign up for 30 days free trial, and then maybe convert a sample file from QuickBooks Desktop so it's got data in there. Or if your client's on QuickBooks Desktop and thinking about moving to QBO, go ahead and convert their real data. It doesn't lose it in QuickBooks Desktop so that they can play with it and then connect the app on there. So convert a sample file or enter some data. I just think it's easier to convert a sample file because then I've got information in there. Or import lists in there, where I've done that before too, where I've imported customers and vendors and products and services and then put in some transactions and then go ahead and connect the app. And then again, if you don't like it, then at the end of your 30 days, you don't put any credit card number in and it goes away. If you like it and you want to use it, if you already have a QBO file, then you connect it to that QBO file. Right? You re-sign up for it. Or if you're converting from desktop, you've got 60 days to reconvert that desktop file up to QBO and reset up that app. So lots of possibilities that we have there. The other thing that I like, what I have, that one that I just showed you, is I set up a static account that I can use indefinitely. Right? So the one that we just looked at is one that I use just for apps. I had converted a sample file, and that way I connect my apps, I disconnect the apps and play around with it. And the good thing is with our Pro Advisor program, or when we're signed up for QBOA, QuickBooks Online Accountant, we have that wholesale billing. So wholesale billing where we get 50% off for the life of the subscription of QBO. So if you're working with apps a lot, it's probably worth, it's just another cost of doing business to pay that monthly fee, 50% off on that, to reduce the cost and then add in the apps to play around with it. So that might be something that you want to do. It just depends on, I just want to make sure I'm on the right place here. Okay. Okay, we have another CPE keyword here. So our next CPE keyword is Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus. Please write down this CPE keyword. Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus. I don't think I'm going to forget that one. I don't really know who Dr. Octopus is. Whether it's like a comic book character or something, I'm not really sure. But please make sure you write down Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus is the third CPE keyword. Dr. Octopus going once, Dr. Octopus going twice, Dr. Octopus, and we're moving off there. So let's just go back into our live screen share and go a little bit further on the connecting the apps. So it'll be quiet for a minute here. Go a little bit further on the connecting the apps. So it'll be quiet for a minute here. Okay, so if we go back into our QuickBooks, and I'm clicked on apps on my left-hand nav bar, and I clicked on my apps. So one of my apps is SafetyNet. So I can go ahead and launch SafetyNet, and when I launch it, it says, okay, what do you want to do, MB? So which company? So I'm going to use it with my QB apps. And I actually, earlier today, did an archive. So I archived, and I haven't done anything more in QBO, but I'm going to do something now. I am going to go to my Quick Create, and I'm going to make a very large bank deposit. And it's going to go into my, oh, that's weird. I don't even have a checking account. Okay, it's going into my savings account. And I received money from, normally I wouldn't do this, right? I'd have an invoice. But I just want to show you how this all works here. And I'll post this to my revenue account. And the amount that they paid me was $1 million. Woo! Nice, right? And I click on Save and Close. So when I go to my reports and I run my P&L, I've got $1,172,808.25 in my revenue. I'm like, wait a minute, who did that? Why did they do it? I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to come back here to my SafetyNet, and let's load it and see what happens. It says, this will restore all information in your account to a previous state. Are you sure you want to do that? And I click on OK. It says, you're free to leave this. So let's leave it and go back over to apps.com. So let me tell you also, if you are the accountant user, you don't have that apps on the left-hand nav bar. So if you log into QBO, with your regular Intuit ID, and then open up apps.com, you can click on My Apps, and it will give you a listing of your QBO companies. And so then that's a way that you can connect, and that's a way you can access the apps. You would do it actually from apps.com. Let's go back to SafetyNet. Oh, they're still restoring it, and we click oh, for whatever reason I pulled that off. So I also like to kind of view all apps which is a million of them, and I have no idea what order they're in. But it gives me an idea. Like I put apps.com on my list of favorites because I like to see what's new and what's out there and just get an idea of what's out there. Agile Iron is something for multi-channel e-commerce that works really well with QuickBooks. American Express Open has their own app. All Orders by Number Cruncher, that's another inventory. Notice that there's a couple connectors with Amazon, so if you have clients that sell on Amazon. And so one of the questions that we get is, well, okay, do these apps all talk to each other? I mean, look at how many, oh, these are alphabetical, that's what they are. Tons and tons of apps there. Well, look at, we're getting there. It's verifying the account, so it may take a few minutes. It says you're free to leave this page, and your restore will run in the background. Let me go back to my apps on here and look what's going on. So you can use multiple apps, and I think sometimes that's hard for our clients to understand. So I'm going to sort this by new so we can see what's going on. Zoho, who has a whole bunch of apps, now has Zoho Expense, I guess, on there. They have all sorts of different apps on there. ShipGear, I have clients who were using QuickBooks Desktop that really like ShipGear for shipping. Apparently now that is out on apps.com. Verifying my journal entries. I don't know why I pulled that off. Rates Plus Online. I mean, you can see there's so many apps that are out here. Excel add-in for QuickBooks Online. CXO Soft for dashboards. So there's a lot of really good reporting apps. And let me just go back up to the top, because one of the value adds that we can do for our clients is to give them some business metrics and business intelligence on there. So let's just see if I come to my reporting by category. You've got QVinci that will do consolidations of both QBO and QuickBooks Desktop files all in one consolidation. LivePlan has the budgeting and forecasting. Fathom, you get all sorts of dashboards. So when you're looking for your reporting app, you're looking for what are you really looking for, because they all a little bit different from each other as far as the information that they're pulling out. Okay. So, we've got one error. So let's see what our error is. Account with ID 58 didn't match. The current balance didn't match. Expected to see 25,000, but some more. So let's go back in. So this is the good thing. This is funny, isn't it? If I refresh this, remember, refresh is your friend in QBO. It didn't get rid of my million. Okay, so make me a liar today. That makes me not look very good, doesn't it? So I have done this very successfully, but I guess that doesn't mean that it works all of the time. So it has to do something with our transaction here. So I guess the takeaway from that, the good thing is that SafetyNet told us that there was an error on there, but I think that, I mean, this kind of proves that sometimes I can't restore a backup if I'm using QuickBooks Desktop. It's just be aware of what's going on. And the good thing is that if we decide that we want to restore and share. And let's talk about using multiple apps. So that's what we started talking about before I got distracted and found that SafetyNet wasn't my safety net this time for whatever reason, because I've done it before and it's worked just fine there. Can you get apps to talk to each other? And the answer is yes, you can get apps to talk to each other. So you want to use the Intuit approved apps. and you just need to figure out what do you need to do? What do you need to do outside of QBO? So, and we don't want to enter it more than once, right? So if we're saying, okay, we need to create a proposal for our clients, and actually Practice Ignition is more for us as accounting professionals, small business consultants. So I could use Practice Ignition to create a proposal, accept the proposal, create an invoice, and what will go back into QBO is the actual invoice itself. So if maybe I need to run an inventory on there. So what will happen is that so SOS inventory, does a push and a pull. So that's one of the things that you need to look at is what do the apps do? Do they pull information from QuickBooks, or do they push information into QuickBooks, or do they do both? So in this case, the SOS inventory pushes and pulls, right? It's bisynchronous on there. So SOS inventory will be able to see that invoice and the payment that goes with it, and then create the shipment order, and then that ship data will go back in. Wait, let's go back. Let me go to the numbers. So number one is to create the proposal, accept, and create the invoice. And then you come down here and receive a payment. So that's number 4. So then we receive that payment. We're ready to go ahead and process that order, and we use SOS inventory to go ahead and do that and create the shipment order, and that shipment data will go back into QBO. So that's 5 and 6. That means inventory will be adjusted. On that is 7. And then what else do we have to do? So these are not necessarily in order. People need to track their expenses. So what can happen is they can use something like Tally to track expenses. And so they submit their expenses. They can do it on their mobile device on there, and then it gets approved in Tally, and that will then send information, those expenses down into QuickBooks, and then QuickBooks will pay you for whatever expense report that you have, and that payment information will go back up into Tally again. And then we run all of our reports in QBO, but maybe we would use something like Fathom to really analyze what's going on with the business. So it just takes reporting to a whole nother level to use an app like Fathom or QVinci or any of the, there's other ones out there too. But it gives you an idea, and I'll show you another one in the next slide, of how you can manage multiple apps together. It can be done. It can be done. And if you were to try and do all of this in one big accounting program, you would be in a huge accounting program and paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for it. So again, what should you be doing is you should be making sure that you understand your client's processes so that you can help them pick out the right apps to do what they need to do, to do exactly what they need to do most efficiently. So different things that we can look at here. Let's see, let's just get all these on here. So another way where we're using multiple apps, so our workflow is to order products, track inventory, sell products, pay employees, pay bills. So how can we do that? Well, that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at what app is going to help us in ordering our products, and then we want to make sure that we place the order wherever, whether we're going to do an estimate in QBO, and that's going to go up, and then we place the order in that third-party app on there. Where are we going to do the invoice? Typically, you do the invoicing in the third-party app, so SalesPad Cloud is a good example of an app that helps with that, right? So you typically don't do an estimate in QuickBooks, so I have seen where it has set up on there where you do the estimate in QuickBooks and that syncs over, and then you can turn it into a sales order in SalesPad Cloud, do all of your fulfillment and your shipping and your invoicing, which then goes back into QBO, right? And then you receive your payment in QBO. So another thing that you may use is like something like QuickBooks Point of Sale, right? So maybe they are a brick and mortar. So you need to look at what the processes are, what the business needs are, in order to figure out what's the right app to actually use. And that's why when we're looking at the apps.com, and we can take a closer look at that by business need on there, that's really helpful way to figure out what your client needs. So just another way to do that. So again, as we continue down this slide here, then things like, do I sell online? Where do I sell? Do I use Shopify because I'm selling online? If I'm paying my employees and I'm paying for them for time, do I use something like T-Sheets that will then put the information, the time, into QuickBooks, and then I could use QuickBooks Online Payroll or QuickBooks Full Service Payroll to pull that time and actually create the paychecks itself. You've got, we talked about HubDoc already, where it will pull information in, pull your bills in from any place where you can do things online. You also have Receipt Bank. That's a great way to manage all of your expenses, expense type, not like employee expense reports, but all the expenses of the business, of the purchasing side of the business, and get the information into QuickBooks Online just by taking a picture. It's got awesome OCR that will then pretty much create the transaction for you and then put it into QuickBooks. You can use something like Receipt Bank and Bill.com talk to each other, which is pretty cool. When I was at QuickBooks Connect last year, I taught a session on apps. And what happened, they showed how, information from Receipt Bank can go right into Bill.com. Then you go through the approval process and you pay the bill, typically in Bill.com, and then both the bill and the bill payment will sync back into QBO. It was really awesome how it worked. And the possibilities are really endless on how we can look at different things, how we can look at apps in QBO. So what I want to do now is just look and see, I'm trying to get down to my questions on here. So the question on what I was suggesting to take a snapshot, and I'm not sure when that question came in, was using something like Safety Net, which unfortunately was not so safe for us when we were looking at it. But again, I've used it successfully where Safety Net takes a backup isn't the right word because you're talking about a cloud-based application, but it's kind of like taking a backup that then can be restored if you need to go ahead and restore it. Let me look and see what other questions that we have. If you have any questions, make sure to type them in the Q&A area. I see a lot of questions asking about the handouts. So our clients do not have their own QB accounts. Can we purchase them and use them with QBOA? So if you're just setting up, if you're setting up the clients through QBOA and you're the accountant user, then you would go to apps. So you would open up that client, you would go to apps.com, look at my apps, and then it would say what apps for what client. So it's just a little bit different, and it wouldn't surprise me if QBO switches that. There was some kind of confusion early on because we used to be able to access from QBOA apps, the App Center from our left-hand nav bar, and that was kind of taken away for whatever reason. I know Intuit is working on that, and now we can go ahead and access them through apps.com even if we are the accountant user. So just open up the client, open up apps.com. So an app for farmers. How fun is that? I don't know that there is. I have to go back and look at apps.com. So Valerie, I think, Valerie, I think, answered that she didn't see anything specific out there. But it's funny because I was at a conference and somebody asked that, and they didn't find one on apps.com, but somebody else found one somewhere else, not on apps.com. Don't know how it works on there. You know, again, generally the best recommendation is to only use apps that are on apps.com because at least we know Intuit is vetted on there. So a question, can I use the same app with multiple clients? I believe that most all of them, they're related to the subscription. So a different EIN, different subscription, just like you have QBO with QBO, but you might want to check with the developer on there. So app for truck drivers to upload receipts and enter them into QBO. There are lots of expense apps. Tally is one of them. Expensify is one. Concur. I actually use Concur in my own business on there. Zoho, remember I said Zoho had a new app out there. They have an expense app. Nexonia has an expense app. But I think the ones you probably hear the most are Expensify and Tally, Concur. So we didn't talk about this, but we should, is a question or a comment on who does the setup and how does that all work and how long does it take? And the thing with the apps is one of the testings that I do with an app is to say how long does it take me to set it up. Me who's really familiar with QBO and familiar with a lot of apps. And if it takes me longer than like 15 minutes, I probably don't want to use it. The other thing that I really look at is how is the support for the app? Because if the developer is not really supporting their app, I'm not sure that I want to be using it. So a lot of reason that I favor some of the apps is because I know that their support is really well. So a lot of there are apps that have certification programs so that you can support your clients on the app. So that might be another thing that you want to take a look at if you can go through a certification and learn more about it. But I would suggest what you do when you're trying to figure out if an app is good or is not good is I would read the reviews, I would look at the videos on there, I would contact support, I would ask for a demo so that you can get the full benefit out of that. And actually, you know what, I'm going to go back up and share my screen just to go through that process with you. So you should see my screen now, and what I had searched for was expense apps, so that's what came up here. And I've got Concur, so I'm just going to bring that up because it's got 194 reviews and it's got 5 stars. So when you're looking at evaluating the apps, one of the things that you do is the very first page. This is the page I always watch the video, and then I look at these other screenshots that are here. So Concur, QuickBooks, it gives you, mobile app information there. That's from a phone, and then their actual expense reporting. And I read their description. Now, keep in mind that this description is written by the developer, right? So that's that. But I think what's even more important is to look at the reviews. So there is a review here, so QBO Stacy, so Stacy K on there. Easy to set up, easy to use, great to manage expenses for travel and special projects, so I recommend it to all my clients. Another Pro Advisor review. Whoops. I just read through them. So some of them are Pro Advisors on here, and then some of them are the actual businesses themselves, right? This business is from California. The person is the manager. Super helpful that they're saying that Joel provided really good tech support for them. I like to see that, right? I like that. Great tool, excellent support. I like to see that. These guys are the best. I just got off the phone with them. That's the kinds of things that I'm looking for. I will also, so if you belong to the Woodard group, then you get access to the Woodard forum on there. You see postings on there all the time where people are asking other members, what do they know about this app? What are the pros and cons? So use things like the Woodard group or one of the QuickBooks LinkedIn groups to help get reviews on that. And then as I go across here, I can see what the pricing is. So the 30-day free trial, and then it's $8 per user per month. And then I can see what support, so if it has any questions, you can email them, you can call them, and get, sorry, I didn't mean to cough in your face, on there. Where do I get setup assistance? How do I convert my free trial? Can I try Concur on both my desktop and smartphone during the trial period? So, that's kind of what I look at on there. And I might go out to their website to actually review what's out on their website. So, bottom line is that you really want to make sure that you evaluate them, take a look at them, but encourage your clients to use them. Don't have them like when I'm moving into QBO, when we're looking for the appropriate apps, don't have them continue to do their Excel spreadsheets or 5 different programs, then re-inputting information into their financial software and then making sure everything all ties out. That's not what we want to have happen. So let me go back to the questions. Let me scroll down here. Some of them it's hard for me. So apps for like Square and PayPal, there are different apps out there. I just saw, where did I see somebody ask a question on tracking business and personal mileage. I don't know, there's no way to really enter mileage into QBO, but I just saw a review on an app that does mileage, and you mark it, an app for your smartphone that does mileage, and then you mark it business or personal. And don't forget that, QBO payroll So QuickBooks Online Payroll and QuickBooks Payments are really apps. They're just apps that are developed by Intuit, and I love using QuickBooks Payments because it is integrated. It'll actually record the payment and record the deposit for me. So you guys have had a lot of good questions here, and I thank Valerie for answering them. It looks like she did a really good job on that. I mean, a lot of your questions were, are there apps for specific things, and Valerie's great, so she put that information in. I think we are really at the end of what we're going to do today. So I want to thank you, not only for myself in attending this session, but I'm on behalf of the Woodard Group, Woodard Network, Woodard Events, whichever it is now, whichever is putting on this event here, for attending the VCon, and I hope to see you at another session somewhere along the line.